In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Giani Bombay black countertop paint and how it transformed my kitchen after applying this paint. This is how it looked like before I applied this paint, and now see how it looks like. It completely transformed my kitchen. I have a small place to patch up here, so I'm going to show you how to use this paint kit step by step. So let's go and look at what we have inside this countertop paint kit. You will have the primer and you will have three different sponge on colors, and you will have a glittery top coat, and you will have a paintbrush, and you will have two rollers, and you will also have this sponge. It will be like a ball. You need to cut it into pieces. Normally you need to cut it into 4 pieces. Use 3 of them for these sponge-ons and keep 1 for extra. You will also have an instruction manual. This have so many good information that will tell you how to use this paint kit. I'm going to summarize what I read in this instruction manual. So the first step what you have to do is you need to remove all the corks around your sink. Anywhere you apply the corks, you need to remove all the corks because the paint is not going to stick on top of the cork. After you scratch off all your corks, I used this cork remover, or otherwise you can use rubbing alcohol also, but this one will be the better choice because this can completely dissolve corks and make you a very clean surface to apply the paint. When it comes to sanding, they recommend you can also use a scoring pad to remove all the greases and the dirts from your countertop, and you do not have to sand your countertop at all. But in my opinion, sanding your countertop slightly with these sanding papers and sanders give more grip for the paint so it can last longer. I used these sanders. This is a round one, and you can see this sand go through this and get collected here, so it doesn't create so much dust. Also for the corners, I used this one because this doesn't work in the corners. Also make sure you use P220 for your countertop, because if you are using something like 80, that is medium grade, that may scratch your countertop. So you have to use this extra fine grit sandpaper. So I used both these sandpaper and the sanders to completely remove all the debris from my countertop, and also the sanding gives you some grip for the paint to stick on. Even after I sanded my countertop twice with the 220 grade sandpapers and sanders, my countertop was extremely smooth, and I was wondering whether I need to use 120 or 80 to make it more rough so the paint can stick on it. Don't make that mistake. Just twice or once sanding with the 220 is more than enough. Your countertop has to be very smooth. So after you completely sand your countertop, you need to wipe them with the rubbing alcohol and then with the water, because you do not want the rubbing alcohol on your countertop when you apply the paint. The next step is to apply the primer paint. But before you apply the primer paint, you need to put tapes around every single place where you don't want the primer or this countertop paint should be touching. You can see in this picture, I have put the tape around the countertop where I don't want the paint. I also covered up all my cabinet with the polythene paper, so this paint doesn't touch my cabinet or my wall. So let's see what else we need for this painting job. You need to buy two of them, one for the primer and one for the top coat. But for the sponge-ons, I did not waste one of these. I used the regular paper plate and poured it into the paper plate and then start to use with these sponge-ons. Also, after you cut these sponges, what you have to do is you need to make sure just shake this one and get rid of all the residues from here. Otherwise, it will stick on your countertop. So now I'm going to apply this primer. I'm going to take only a little bit of paint here. If you soak a lot of paint in your brush, it's going to drip all over the place. And I'm going to come here. I'm going to apply to this place where I have no paints. So now I have to let it dry for about 8 hours. When you apply this primer for your entire countertop, this is how it looks like when it's drying for the next 8 hours. It's going to be a complete, gorgeous, dark black. The next step in the process would be to apply the sponge-on colors. To do that, you need to cut this sponge into pieces. That is what I'm going to do next. This is for the black sponge-on. This is for the white marble sponge-on. Here are the two sponge-ons now. I'm going to open this guy. Okay, you see here, it's a black one. I'm going to put it here. When you do the real sponge-on, I dip that into the paint and then I just remove the excess paint, and then after remove the excess paint, and then I went like that without a repeated pattern. If you do like this, it's going to be a repeated pattern, but if you want to have this kind of look, you need to do like, you know, this way, so you get a completely different pattern every single time. So now this has been applied. While it's been applied there, you need to open this one, the white sponge on, and then I only have a little bit left. This is more than enough. I'm going to apply on top of it because these two paints have to mix together. So that's why you need to divide your countertop into 2 feet at a time and work section by section in your countertop. Okay, so now let's look at how this area looks like. This is how the patching looks like now. So I had to wait another 4 hours for this to dry. After it completely dried, you need to apply the top coat. I'm going to use a small brush like that. You can see the top coat is kind of clear top coat. And then you need to apply the top coat. So I'll do one more time. Okay, so now I had to wait another 4 hours for the first top coat to dry, and I will come back and reapply the top coat again. 4 hours already passed. I'm going to apply the top coat again and let it dry for another 4 hours before start to use the countertop. Giani recommend don't put any heavy stuff on the new countertop for at least 14 days. So this is how you use Giani Bombay black countertop. They have different colors, so you can pick based on your preference. If this video is helpful for you, please give me a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification for my future video updates.